pig, and where I got like obsessed was two events. One, just the aesthetic that I see and I think of, which is a pretty shallow aesthetic because it has nothing, I mean, it's a pretty shallow idea because it has nothing to do with function. It's just kind of like I saw that, you know. And then my body type, my somatotype, I'm just a thick lump, you know. I'm like, my dad says I'm big boned, you know. My mom says I'm healthy. I enjoy my malted beverages. But so that lends itself to a pig. A pig's just like, a pig is a board that I personally don't turn around, stick my ass in front of the nose and then start scratching my foot when I'm on the nose. That's not the style of surfing I do. I like to like find the spot on the wave where I do nothing. Like I feel like I'm successful in my surfing if I'm not moving, if my body's not moving. If all I'm doing is standing in such a spot that the board is tucked up as good as it can be. The lip of the board is kind of hitting my rib cage a little bit. Maybe I give it a little fondle underneath the lip. I don't want big waves, I want good clean waves. And I want a board to trim in the spot just right. And then when I want to break out of trim and do a really committed bottom turn followed up with a nice top turn to set up a good nose ride, I want that to happen. But really what I'm looking for in a wave, in a board, and in a surfing experience is just that time when you're standing on the board doing nothing and yet everything is happening. Like you're not thinking, you're not doing anything else other than just standing there. Many boards could do that, I suppose, but that's the moment I look for. It takes a clean wave and a good board. I was mentioning off on this tangent about what attracted me to a pig board, and I mentioned something about this aesthetic and how shallow that is when compared to, you know, the pig board. It has these functional elements. You know, in my pursuit of trying to find a good pig, starting, you know, the first board I purchased, the first single fin longboard I ever purchased was in 1988, and it was in Malibu. I bought it for 60 bucks, and it's a terrible riding board. It's like, it's got like this nose rocker in it, it's got 3 stringers, it's got belly throughout, it's a pintail, but it is a wide point aft and a narrow nose, and it used to have a big D-fin on it, but somebody cut the D-fin out and made it this raked thing, and it's so incredibly fucking heavy. It doesn't even turn good, it doesn't ride the nose. I mean, you could stand on it and trim, but that's about it. It doesn't say much for a board. But it was the only board I had, and it was the longboard I rode, and sometimes growing up in Texas, there would be these offshore clean wind days, and that got me hooked. Being on clean glassy waves on a really heavy board and finding that spot was something that was in my blood. And the board's got a wide point aft and belly throughout a narrow nose. So that kind of was my idea, that got me into it. And then seeing these old boards and thinking about the Leroy Granite shots and all this stuff made me start chasing them. I lived in Huntington Beach in 2001, around that time, and once 9/11 happened, this friend of mine freaked out and started wanting to get rid of his quiver. I think he was, you know, trying to save up for a bunker or something. And I was in the right place at the right time, had a little bit of money, and bought his 2 Tylers. And he also gave me this thing that was like this pop out, and it was, I used to surf with Steve Bigler a lot in Huntington and in Santa Barbara,